morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today's episode, I don't know, but
That was a great way of starting to be more authoritative by taking space.
I was just kidding. Because every time I forget to start an intro. But good morning, everyone.
What are we talking about today?
First, we're apologizing for our delay again. And you're going to say why.
Because I have a W-2 and this is something I do on because I am your friend.
Mm-hmm. And then I end by saying, thank you for your time. We appreciate you.
No, so the authoritative way of saying it, you don't say you're sorry. You start by saying, I would have said, if I wanted to be authoritative, I would have said, I appreciate your patience. Let's get started.
Okay.
Because then if I'm saying I'm sorry, I'm making myself a subordinate, right? But if I say I appreciate your patience, I'm being the authority.
Correct. Sure.
Anyway, what's today's topic, guys?
Great.
What did you want to talk to me about? And I haven't really prepped it too much, more than one line you told me just before I click go live. Oh, yeah. Hey, Tommy. Hey, McKenna.
Oh, I didn't press live on mine.
You need to.
Let's do that.
Then I'm stealing your stuff. I'm stealing your audience. Don't switch over to Ice live stream.
I would say a lot of people have joined your audience and following from me.
Yeah. And what an intro.
Okay, so I asked Andreas, I said I want to hold more authority as a leader. And I don't know if you want to get into that story at all, but about being grounded as a person.
I don't remember the story. I tell a lot of stories.
I just want to save time since you have to go at 10. So I'll put that in a reel. But there was just a moment we had where I realized that I want to hold more authority as a leader. And I've always associated it to like a negative connotation or like fear-based authority rather than someone commanding respect and it not being seen as negative, especially as a woman.
Yeah, and we talked about that in other masculine versus feminine and all of that. Mm-hmm. And then yesterday we were on a call with Rosie, just to do a super quick recap of that as well for people who didn't listen to it. One of the key things there, what we realized is that no, it wasn't yesterday. It was earlier this week. What am I talking about? That was me and Rosie talking about something else yesterday. But the point was the following. There is absolutely feminine energy and masculine energy. And the discussion we had there, Ice, was I just don't subscribe that authority have to be masculine or it has to be feminine. But what I've noticed with a lot of women is a fear of taking authority and being dominant in the fear of them showing up with masculine energy. But that's not the case. I don't subscribe to that. So I'm just saying that's in others people's minds, not mine. Yeah. Hey, Jody. I see a bunch of people.
That I don't fear coming off masculine at all. It's more like I was...
Not in your case. I agree.
I never had the courage to be disliked. And I think I've seen so many videos now from other entrepreneurs who have gone through their phase in their 20s. And they had to go through like... undoing being the friend boss, or the friendly boss. And
there's not only people in their 20s, Ice. I am coaching or mentoring another person right now that have this problem in their 30s, late 30s.
Gotcha.
It's very common that McKenna said I definitely fear coming off with that bro energy. No, but I see that. I've heard that being said, and I think it's a shame, and people are missing out. But I had another. Okay, so I'll lead you into a couple of things. Let's be factual and boring for a couple of seconds, guys. So number one is people in US associate management as authority, dominance, sitting on high pedestals, and they use that as a negative term. This is what Rosie and I talked about yesterday. And then they say leadership is like someone leading from a front, halo effect, all of those things. I think a leader knows how to manage. A leader knows how to be authoritative. A leader knows how to be dominant. So I think people are chickening out by sort of putting them in two different categories. And in US, we have all seen, you have seen that, Ice, you know, and on social media, you see a picture of a person like pulling the weight ahead of his people, and you say that that's a leader. He's leading from the front, and he's pulling weight and like a big block of stone or whatever it is. And then you have another picture with a manager standing on top of the stone, whipping his employees to pull it. Mentally, now that is ingrained in your head, and you assume authority with that person with the whip. My argumentation is leadership is an umbrella term, and you will have different situations where you need to lead with authority, you need to lead with whip, and you need to some, but that's not always. It's situational. And then there are situations where you need to lead with inspiration, lead from the front, adapt to people, but it depends the situation your business is in. But just out of the gate, most people get stuck of just assuming one is bad and one is good. It's like good and evil. Everything we do in society, especially in the US, is like it's either good or evil. And right now, authority seems to be on the evil side for some reason. Well, it's actually, as a result, people are being too nice and being friends with everyone. And then shit hits the fan. And guess what? Vacuum, no leader in the room who just stands up, is resilient, and just points with the entire hand and said, this is what we're going to do, and here is why. What people fail at is the second part. Authoritative say, dominance people will say, this is where we're going, but they don't explain the what and the why. But if you say authoritative, we're going to go here, and here is why we're going to do this, then people will naturally follow and won't see you as authoritative in a negative way. They will be happy that someone is leading in the vacuum. And okay, what have I said so far? What is resonating with you?
You can hold authority, saying what we're doing, not asking if like everyone's okay with it, and then explaining why gives them an understanding of where we're going. Because I never had a good relationship with authority. I never could just do what I was told with no reasoning. Like I would always ask why, and culturally, like it's disrespectful to just not listen, no, regardless.
But
And
you
so
have to ask why.
I'm surprised that I don't think of this naturally because like I don't do well without a why. But I think it's because I'm so focused on I didn't have the confidence to just say what I think is best or what I want to do because I want to hear the opinions of others because I might be wrong or like, what if I'm making the wrong decision? What if I need to broaden my perspective? That's the trouble I have with authority, with holding authority.
Great leaders will make decisions when they have less than 30% of the knowledge required to make a decision. Followers will make decisions when they have more than 95% of the data available and people's opinions. So you have to retrain your brain of, as a leader, Ice, you cannot have full consensus and always and I say this coming from a Swedish culture.
Okay.
Like you need, and which is very consensus driven. You have to make decisions not knowing all the facts and not catering for everyone's opinions. That doesn't mean you cannot make the decision and not listen to their input after you have made the decision and told them what to do. Does
Heard.
that make sense?
Yes.
So in your case, I'm going to throw it back on you. This is rooted in fear of conflict for you.
I'm leaving. You're asking that?
No, I'm telling you. I want to hear what your thoughts are on it.
You're telling me that it's out of fear of conflict.
Or not be seen. Or you don't like you think like this. Well, if I were one of the people, I would want my opinion heard. I would want someone to ask me how I feel about it. So
No.
now, no?
Maybe subconsciously I haven't thought about that, but it doesn't feel that way.
But you are
So
definitely fear of conflict.
it's a fear of maybe it's fear of judgment. Um,
So you care what people say about you.
No, like how I make them feel, I think. If I were to my first thought right now when I'm thinking of the other reasons why I avoid conflict in conversation, it's because I put their feelings first.
And that's the biggest,
Yeah.
huge, no, it's one, not the biggest, but it's what a huge mistake a leader can do.
Yeah.
If you're W2 work and you're a leader, you were put in that position to lead and manage. You
Mhm.
or and there or synonymously, you were not put, like, the company invested their time and effort in you, and now you're saying, I will cater for everyone else's opinions. I will cater for, like, their emotions. I will cater for, like, no, you're missing the point. Like, you are put in that position. Someone else made you a leader in a W2 job for a reason. If you're a solo entrepreneur, you took that position. People wouldn't join you and your company if they didn't respect you as a leader. People would not join your company if they didn't respect you as a leader. People would not join your company if they didn't respect you as a leader. So if you are not leading, then you're failing them.
Thank you. That was a good one.
You create a vacuum, and now people are worried. Like, this is like being a child without the parent. How did you feel as a child when if your parents weren't there?
I just you just do it. I don't know.
No, but my point is like your employees, think of them as your children.
Okay.
So reverse your own upbringing. You don't have kids, but the day you will understand what I meant. Is you as a leader are a parent and a father figure. You probably have someone in your surrounding that is that person for you.
Mhm.
You need to be that for others. Like, you need to step in. Like, leadership isn't something that, yes, you grow into it, but the sooner you made a choice, like, I'm a leader, dot, and I'm going to do what I'm going to get curious about what being a leader is, and I'm going to believe in what I say. I'm going to hold strong opinions but loosely held, and I'm going to listen to others still. But if no one is making decisions, you're wasting time. And they expect you to make decisions. They would not join your company otherwise if they did not respect you as a leader.
Okay.
Couple of comments. Oh, what the F? I like that.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
But the Alexi, and I can't pronounce last name exactly. You show authority by making decision, even if you don't have all the info and all the conscious, because you accept that if you're wrong, you will take the responsibility for it 100%. Like, that is the loneliness of being a CEO. Is in the end, you have to take the ultimate responsibility. If someone in your organization screw up, it's on you to say, my mistake,
Mhm.
because it was your mistake putting that person in a leadership position. And then the other thing, followers are following because they are not ready to be responsible for themselves. That is, I'm going to read that again. That's really good. Followers are following because they are not ready to be responsible for more than themselves. It's so true. And I had a walk and talk this morning with a friend, or philosophy discussion with Morgan. And one of the things we talked about was leadership in many times is about developing resilience, and resilience to your own emotions, and resilience to doubt, resilience to a lot of things in general. But what happens is that some resilience can be developed, and some resilience you have to just live through yourself. But again, okay, so let's get back. Are we on topic still? Ice, thoughts. I'm talking a lot. Say something.
I'm internalizing.
You
Dang.
can't just sit and internalize. Tell me an example where you feel you should have shown up as a leader with authority when you chose not to. I want to
There
hear that one. Don't shy. Let's go with that one. I saw
how
your
do
face
you
there.
how do you know? Okay, there's been times in a meeting where felt I felt a team member tries to make jokes, out of connection, but they're, like, to me, they're disrespectful, and they're, like, mumbling under their breath something that is supposed to be sarcastic, but partially true, or, like, I don't know if it's partially true and, like, it's my fault that maybe I take it to offense, or I find it disrespectful that the action continuously comes up, and I'm mad at myself that I don't speak up and tell them, or, like, tell them.
Super simple.
Okay. That's where I don't hold enough authority, and
You
I'm
allow it.
yes, I'm mad
It's
at
like
myself.
if someone is late in every time, uh, you allow people to be late. If you don't address it, it's on you as a leader. So if
Okay.
I have, if let's say that it was very important for me that people were on time, I would tell that person going forward when we have meetings, we are starting on time. If that was what was really important to me. If you have someone that is sarcastic and making jokes, but it's hurtful for you, and I've had that happen many, many, many times, you
It's
call
just
it out
it's just
and
annoying. Yeah.
you got to get comfortable with the authority. And this is also so important. If you want to take authority, learn to be quiet and don't fill the void. So call someone out and you say, can you explain a little bit more what you actually meant with that joke? Oh, it was just a joke. I didn't take it as a joke. What are you trying to say? And then you're quiet. Do not let them squirrel out of it. And every time, like, no, it's not a joke. Tell me what you meant. And you just sit there in quiet and let them spiral their own way to death. And when if you want to save them, but don't early on, you just go, from now on, stop that attitude. It's not okay. And they're going to whine and complain, and you're going to hold your ground. And you're like, compared to you, I'm not joking. I'm telling you, stop that. Moving on. And then you move on to another topic. And that person will show up like a puppy that made a huge mistake the next time. You have to call people on their bullshit. That's what the summary is. That's being authoritative. It's not letting it go. Now, you can do it too. If you want to do the less version, if you want to build up to this, you pull them aside after the meeting and you say, your jokes, I understand you're doing that to diffuse the situation, your sarcastic jokes, but they're hurtful to me and they're distracting. You need to stop that. And you can do that in a one-on-one. And if it happens again, then call them out in the meeting.
Understood. What do you hold? What are you biting your tongue on?
Going down the path of said, heard, understood, accepted, or rejected, but always committed. So I'll do this one quick. It's a little bit of a tangent. The way you understand if someone have understood your command and what you require of people is a model of said, heard, understood, accepted, or rejected, but always committed. So have I said something? Do I think you heard it? Was I clear in my communication, or was I giving too much information around it?
Hmm.
Did you truly understand what I told you? And try to rate this from 0 to 10. 0, you didn't understand at all. 10, you understood. Now, I have to rate you based on how defensive the person is and if they come back afterwards in a situation like this. It's not a confrontation, just being very direct with people. The next step here is like, Did they accept what you said or did they reject it? If they rejected it, have you made it clear for them it's not a choice to reject it and they have to commit regardless? They have to change their behavior. It's not okay. In order to get sometimes someone that rejects, but they still commit to a change, you have to be extremely authoritative and make them very clear that the option of not embracing this doesn't exist. You with me?
Explained that very clearly. I heard everything that you said and I understood even the complexity of it all. I accept what you have said. That was very
Yeah.
eloquent, but it hit every point.
We have talked about it many times. I think it's offensive when someone say I heard you,
Mhm.
and usually will make you feel like you're not understood. But if you tell someone you have understood them and you can showcase that, the other person will feel much better about themselves as well. It's the same when you get feedback from someone. If you
Mhm.
can say, I have understood you and here is why, the other person will come back to you and give you more feedback in the future. But if you just said, I heard you, it's like, yeah, I heard you.
Yeah.
Middle finger.
Uh,
Hey, Elena. Oh, I see several other people. Mattia, bunch
see,
of people. Carolina or Carol. Sorry, my bad. I
uh,
gotta get glasses, but that's a different story. I refuse to be old and get glasses.
mine are. I'm weak. I have blue light glasses, but it hurts my head if I'm like so close to screens. I had to get it. Um, a thought that came in my head as you were talking is, am I losing it? Am I losing it? My fear around authority is pretty backwards because I think I am I avoid conflict thinking that having moments like that would make them respect me less or like,
No.
when in reality, when someone who holds more authority in a conversation calls me out on my bullshit, I respect them more and I don't dislike them any less or more. I don't like dislike them anymore. I think I appreciate that we can hold different attitudes in conversation and it not be taken personally.
So if that's the case,
But I'm also growth oriented as a person, so I would like to create a culture of growth oriented people
yeah,
who don't take it
but that's
personally.
who you hire. That's culture fit.
Culture,
And I
yeah,
know your team, everyone is growth oriented.
correct. Proud of that.
Would they respect you as a leader if you didn't lead?
No, actually, I wouldn't have any problem holding more authority with my current team, with the team we're talking on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is your practice area. And that doesn't mean that you don't listen. Like it doesn't mean you're not approachable. It doesn't mean you sit on high horses, but they expect you to lead. And this is what I said, the US culture is so flawed with assuming that leadership cannot be authoritative. If you have a crisis, like a life or death or the future of the company, and you go and you have to make a decision within an hour, do you go down like, let's all sit down and talk about how we feel about this? No, you go into the room and like, this is what we're going to do. And people in that moment will look at you as the savior. You're there to save them. They signed up for you as a leader. But if you don't show up as a leader, you have a problem. And let's make it less dramatic. You have a customer who's not happy with your service. You're never a person that would blame others' eyes. You're never a person like, you did that, you said this. No, you would step up and say, okay, what can I do? Don't say what we can do. That's your second sentence. Your first sentence is, what can I do in this situation? You're taking responsibility as a leader. Then you say, what should we be doing? Because as soon as you say, what will we do first? What are we going to do about this? Then you're not leading. You're then a follower. You're a peer with the team because you don't want to take on the negative burden of a negative situation. What can I do in this situation? That's a leadership trait. You don't shy away from it emotionally either. And some people early in their leadership, you're so early in your leadership. I at 23, like I couldn't even spell leadership if you asked me to. So not kidding. It's like, but what I'm trying to say is, with time, this will fall natural for you. You have, you will, and we talked about this concept before, Ice, or maybe we haven't. Do you play any instruments
No,
ever?
I dance.
Okay. So when you started dancing,
Mhm.
did you feel like I got this? My body's moving in all the direction I anticipated. I can nail this. Did you identify yourself as a dancer?
No.
You should have. Why didn't you? You are a dancer. You're a dancer from day one. If you learn to play the violin, you're a musician from day one. If you start a company, you're a leader from day one. You and I are both leader. We're peers. Now, over time and practice, you will feel more comfortable being a dancer. You will feel more confident being a violinist. But if you feel, I'm not saying you shouldn't feel, like you know me, like I'm all for, you got to feel where you're at. But I'm saying you will never feel like a true leader. I'll be vulnerable here. Do you think I feel like a true leader?
Yes.
Not always. I choose to be a leader, but there are situations I doubt my leadership. It's everyone do to some extent. But what I'm trying to say is, you cannot go around saying I'm not a dancer just because you just started. You're a dancer. You
Mhm.
dance. Is that English correct? You're a dancer? Yeah, but you get my point. It's like, you're a violinist. Your music might not sound great yet in your own head. Others typically think it sounds pretty damn good. I know when my kids started playing music here at home, they will, oh, I suck. I can't do this. It sounds horrible. I'm like, no, that was actually really good. Like, I could even hear which melody that was. Like, you're doing amazing. And it's the same with leadership. It's the same with anything you practice in life. You're already a leader. And I guarantee you, in your head, it's very different from everyone else. I guarantee you, people already look up to you, Ice, and what you have accomplished, and they see you as an authority.
Thank you. I don't doubt that. I think I just need to have more ownership shamelessly. And so some of the questions I wrote down as you were talking, and that was a good analogy, by the way. It helped me understand the concept better because you related it to something I do. But inspired my thought on how often do I open up conversations for thoughts, and like how do I structure, I guess, how do I structure authority, if that's the correct term? So do I say, um, here's what to expect from this conversation, and then like I'll be telling everyone the direction we're going, and then I open it up for thoughts, or do I not even open it up for thoughts, and they have the understanding of when it's appropriate to speak up about something?
There isn't a model or a tool. It's situational,
Okay,
and you have to. Oh, by the way, your video froze.
I just saw
Oh,
that.
no, you're back. It's there isn't a model. It's like if you're a psychologist, right, and you believe in one specific practice within psychology, and there are several schools of thoughts within psychology. People tend to go like, this is the only way I can view the world. Or if you're a physicist and you're into quantum physics, like, this is how the world looks. That makes you a pretty shitty physician. It makes you, or physicist, it makes you a pretty shitty psychologist, and it makes you a shitty leader if you
Mm,
always use the same framework. This is what you're good at. You're exceptionally good at reading the room.
mhm,
If it's an emergency, take control. If it's not an emergency, start the meeting, let other people, like, you're there to listen to them, but always kick off a meeting. Don't go in and sit and wait for someone else to do it. You go in and, like, here are the things we want to accomplish today. This meeting is about this.
mhm.
How are you guys doing? And then walk around the room and have them discuss the idea. The best, most fulfilling moments is when I go into a meeting, I say hi, we start the meeting, and then for, let's say the meeting is an hour, and I sit there for 55 minutes, and the team have already concluded everything, and I think it's amazing, and they look for validation. I'm like, you don't need my validation. You got this. Like, that is amazing. It takes a while to get there. So there will be time where you have to direct, and there will be times where they should do it. But overall, I would say I'm more in the school of thought, psychologist, one way of thinking, of the empowerment and getting everyone's voices heard and getting others to take responsibility. And here's the problem: they need to take authority as well. And that is up to you as a leader to make sure they feel confident in taking authority, not responsibility only. So I'm more in that school of thought, which is empowerment and lead from the front. But I also made mistakes early in my career when we were in emergency, and I used that model, and trust me, it doesn't work. So there isn't a tool, but a couple of things you can do to be more authoritative is always start and end the meeting. Always in the end of a meeting, let me sum up. So Shar, just because I know she's on your team, Shar, what are your action items from this meeting? Just by you asking her, and always, 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 always a when. Like, this is the biggest fear a lot of people have with feeling authoritative, is someone will say, oh yeah, I have to go write this article, I have to publish this, I have to do this. And you feel bad when you say, when will that be done by? People just taking on a task doesn't mean they take responsibility for it unless there is a when. So always a when. And even to this day, I can sit with people who are in their late 50s, early 60s. I've been in C-level positions for 20 years. We sit and talk about something, and how consultants have been trained to ask why all the time. Like, I sit in the end of the meeting, it's like, yeah, when will that be done? Amazing. When? And then the person sort of squeals, and I don't really know. And then I say, okay, when will you know when you will be done? Don't let people just, I'll get back to you. No, when will you get back to me and tell me when you will be done? It's in your interest to park it on them. You can't go around remembering, oh, what was this person supposed to do and say? Make them accountable for their own timelines. And you don't have to pressure people to give you a timeline on the spot, but then say, and if they're hedging, that happens a lot as well, even to this day, where people are like, I'm going to need 4 months to do it. And I go, no. I get what you're saying, but we need it in 2 months. And then they go, oh, but it's not possible, and blah, blah, blah. And then I ask them straight up, like, okay, what do you need to get it done in the time frame I'm talking about? It can't be done. Okay, I beg the difference. Try. Like, if it's not 4 months, then what's the best you can do, and what do you need from me? Do you need people? Do you need money? What do you need? And then you get them to truly say the true when. And I, to this day, with high up people, well paid in my company, to this day, people can say it's a 4 months project. Do you know how many projects are not 4 months and they are like 6 weeks when you pressure people? A lot. So my point is, people will hedge because they will want to organically feel good in the process, not what they actually can do. The only thing I would say in this, you can't always put people in the red. You have to, I often calibrate if a person is green, yellow, or red. And if they've been on the red for a while, I need to pull them down to green. If they are for a longer time frame, if they've been in yellow for a longer time frame, I need to shortly pull down them to green until I feel they're ready to go to yellow again. In situations where it's crazy, you can push people to red, but you can't do it over and over again. Comment here from Alexi. Takeaway: one should have an authority side and leader side and use it depending on regency and situation. Absolutely. I'm a strong believer in situational leadership, and I'm a strong believer in Okay, I will make this a long topic if I go down this path. So I will really stop me if I do.
Okay.
An amazing leader, the biggest mistake I made in leadership ever early on, 10, 12 years ago, was to focus more on other people and trying to understand them
Mhm.
instead of going deep into who I am and why I show up and react the way I do. I wasted years on that. If you cannot truly lead others in any situation unless you truly understand yourself before you understand others. And often that journey is cemented in who you were when you were 6 to 12 years old and the value-based systems your parents put in your head. And that system is who shows up in an emergency, and many times it's probably how you show up in a lot of meetings, and why this is a topic, guys. You are probably have something from your childhood, and the trick is to listen to that voice, but don't let that voice control you. And you're a different person today compared to when you were 6 to 12 or 6 to 16 or whatever it is, where you really cement your core beliefs. But this is what I mean. Great leaders will go deep in understanding why they show up in every situation the way they do. And then they will understand why they might react in a certain way in a certain situation. So you're part of this journey, and I don't want to do this on this call, guys. We can take this as an offline because that can get pretty emotional. But you need to understand where your fear for authority comes from. What is it rooted in? And it's probably not who you are today. So I'm just going to park it for now, but that is something I spend so much time early leadership focusing on others instead of just going straight in who I am. And for me, I talked about this in my life and in social media, so I can say it. But it's for me, it was I grew up without a father, and I didn't always understand what a manly, authoritative person is. So I was fighting that, and then I was fighting others, and I was fighting myself. But when I realized that's the case, like, okay, that was the old me. Like, that's not me anymore. I am an authority. So part of you saying I am a leader is also you starting to say I am an authority.
Thank you for leading with vulnerability because it gave me the courage to also want to share because I think stories where people resonate help. Um, I, I think my fear of holding more authority is I grew up with more militant authority. I mentioned it earlier. Like um, my dad is a retired correctionals officer, and then both sides of my family are military, or my grandpas were in the military. So it's very much like do as I say without reasoning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way you break that is with the why.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's amazing. You know that now.
I've known it. It's just harder to practice it. Um,
That's not authority.
that's not authority. What's not authority? Not
What you
practice.
just explained, the military way of doing it,
Oh, so
that's
I'm.
not the definition of authority.
Oh, I hear you.
You can still lead with EQ and be authoritative. You can still care for people's emotions and be authoritative. The why is the key. If you explain the why, you're saying, we're going to do this, and here is why. If I just told you, Ice, go get a glass of water now. Or I said, Ice, you need to go get a glass of water because you look dehydrated and I worry for you.
Well, I'm pretty certain, or yeah, I'm certain that I do that already. Like I don't have trouble
Yeah. But
explaining
then
why.
you are being authoritative. You just have
Yeah.
to acknowledge that it's back to the dancer. You
Yeah.
are an authority. You are a dancer.
Yeah. That's where I fail. It's not the actual like how I show up with authority. I think it's the confidence within authority.
Yeah. We got actually a bunch of people listening on the live. I
I
want
don't
to ask people.
I don't see these comments.
No, I see. So there have been several, but part of people also. Jody said, building your muscle to become great. This is it. Like you're in the gym right now. You already know you're a leader, an authority. Now we're
Yeah.
just getting bigger muscles. Elena like this. Someone, yeah, getting old is not the same as getting glasses. I hear you. When you grow up with strong leaders, you can accidentally take a back seat without believing you have a choice to also lead in your own right. It's an assumption that is faulty. Yeah, that is so true.
Can you pin the comment, or can you repeat
No,
it?
I can't. It's not here. It's on the it's on in my Instagram. I'll read it again. When you grow up with strong leaders, and I think this person is saying either with strong leaders or strong authority, you can accidentally take a back seat without believing you have a choice to also lead in your own right. It's an assumption that is faulty. I agree. Different, and it's like dominance is a key word here. I think that this person is meaning. So if you have a lot of dominance and little fear, if you, I always think of Clifton Strengths, thanks to D. Rosie Noel. Go follow her and take the Clifton Strengths test. It's amazing. I've done a lot of them in my years, but this one is really good. I have nothing for saying that. Go take her test and do a coaching session. It's eye-opening. So I
Mhm.
have dominance in my top 5, and I have self-assurance in my top 5.
Dominance or command?
Command. But
Okay.
sorry, thank you. See, you're an expert. I have command. And as a result, when I enter a room, I tend to take space. And that is assumed is an authority. So I have to dial that back. But that doesn't mean everyone else in a room isn't a leader or cannot be a leader. It just happens to be that one of my personality traits is that. But it's not, you don't need to have that to be a leader and be an authority.
I have command in my top, I think 10 or 5 too. I think it's maybe I asked the wrong question here when I wanted to have this live. It's not authority I struggle with, it's commanding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in this case, we have kind of talked about it in the same way, though. But it
Yes.
is commanding with the why. Explaining your reason of why you're commanding is how you soften it. If you want to learn to do it and remove words like I need you to, you should, I would really appreciate. Like the more you remove those words, the more commanding it is.
The more I remove, I need you to, and I
Yeah,
would like
I
you
would
to.
really appreciate if you could. That's not commanding, that's asking a question. Or
Well,
that's
saying
making a statement.
I need to say I need to. I
No,
need you.
you need to get rid of those filler words.
So what do I say instead?
Shar, on Monday, come in with an updated plan. Shar, on Monday, it would be really nice if you could have the time to prepare a proposal. And completely understand that if you are busy this weekend, it doesn't make sense. But I think it would be really good if we had one. Like, it's just the amount of words. The more words you use, the less commanding you are. The more words you use, the less commanding you are. It's like, have you ever listened to punk rock music? Every sentence is like 3 to 5 words. And it's like, it's the same here. It's like, if you want to be more commanding, less words. Ice, stop seeing yourself as not a leader.
I am a leader. I am a dancer.
Yeah, but you get my point.
No,
Ice, I think
I
it
have
would be really good for your business if you started to explore a little bit more that you actually are a pretty good leader. And I think by you doing so, blah, 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 blah. Ice,
yes,
you're a leader.
he does think he's funny.
But you see my point. You use a lot of words when I hear you with your teams.
I told Andreas that I go around the bush like twice, or I beat around the bush maybe like 7 times because I'm so focused on their feelings, like how they're gonna perceive the way I command it.
So here's what you can do. Be more commanding in the meeting. And if you want to fulfill that need after the meeting, Shar, I just want to check in. Like, for me, it's important that we get this done by Monday. Did I hurt your feelings by saying it the way I did? Boom, you checked in. She knows she cares. And then you add, and she will say no. And then the next time, but then you say, okay, but in the future, if I ever do, can you please let me know? Because I am all about trying to make us more effective here. And now she feels welcome to go tell you if you're being too commanding or if you don't listen.
Mhm.
But it's not in your nature. It's like, I'm telling you, you could, like, if you're at war and you're a commander in war in a most military setting, people will still feel like you're beating around the, like, just get to the fucking point. Come on, let's go, Ice. Like, even if you are the most authoritative person ever in your head and commanding, others will be like, oh my god, that was so much kitty gloves, killing it with softness. Like, can she just get to the point? Like, you're never going to be that person, and if you are, I'll pull you back.
Rosie has lobster claws and I have kitty gloves.
Yeah.
Last question because I want you to prep for your call. How often should or can I, how often should I check in about my leadership and ask for feedback on like how I
Not
can be a better
not
leader?
too often with your team, but
Mhm.
with mentors and peer groups outside often.
Okay.
You have me, Rosie, Vina around you. You don't have a lack of that. Rosie said, Ice is high command. She can do it. I agree, Rosie.
I'm leaning into it, Rosie.
And Rosie, I didn't know you were on, but I was just saying that people really need to go and take their Clifton strength test with you. And the reason is the more you understand who you are, the more you know how you show up in every situation. So follow the Rosie Noel if you're already not doing it, and reach out to her.
Mhm.
Oh, you just joined. I talked about you before. Super quick, because I have a meeting in 1 minute. Are you focused on their feelings or what they feel about you when you do it?
Who said that? That was good.
Uh,
Or it doesn't matter. Yes,
JTTRBG. I don't know
I
exact. I
only
can't see the photo.
I only said
Oh,
that.
it's maybe Julie. Maybe it's Julie, actually.
Oh,
I can't see the photo.
okay.
Too small. But I
Yeah,
gotta run.
we'll talk.
But that was a good question just in general. And you should always care what people feel, but you cannot factor it in every situation.
It is the latter. So thank you to that person who.
Have an amazing day.
Thanks,
Take the
guys.
Clifton strength test. Trust me, it's useful.
Mhm.
Bye.
Bye.